Welcome. We believe that listening is the most natural way to learn a foreign language. On this channel we will publish conversations between two people each time on a different topic so that you can improve your English without boring grammatical rules. In order for the brain to absorb the language as much as possible and to automatically think and speak in English, it is recommended to listen to each episode several times at a distance of days. If you find these podcasts useful, we would be grateful if you would subscribe to the channel and like. Enjoy.
Welcome back, everyone, to another deep dive. This time, we are going to get into something pretty amazing, I think. We're going to look at the potential of meditation to help us age gracefully.
Oh, wow.
We're diving into an excerpt from an Italian text, and I got to tell you, some of the insights are pretty remarkable. Imagine a way to sharpen your mind, boost your mood, and even maybe prevent some age-related decline, all through a simple practice. That's what we're uncovering today.
You know, it's funny. A lot of people think of meditation as just relaxation or better sleep, which is great, of course.
Yeah.
But the science actually goes way beyond that. This research shows how meditation could actually be a strong tool to maybe even prevent dementia.
Right.
And even slow down brain aging.
Wow. So you're saying that just by meditating, we could be actively protecting our brains from age-related decline. I've heard of things like brain games.
Right.
But this sounds even more impactful.
That's exactly what the research is saying. And one of the key things is something called neuroplasticity. Think of your brain like a muscle. Just like exercise keeps your muscles strong, meditation seems to help your brain stay flexible and adaptable as you get older.
That's amazing. So it's like a workout for our brains, helping them stay sharp and resilient even as we age. But how does that actually work? What is actually happening in the brain when we meditate?
So neuroplasticity is the brain's incredible ability to make new connections and pathways throughout life.
Okay.
And what's so cool is that meditation actually seems to improve this process. It's like meditation is telling the brain to create new pathways to help it stay agile and adaptable.
So it's not just about preserving what we already have, but actually encouraging growth and new connections.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
Exactly.
But wouldn't it be really hard to maintain a consistent meditation practice as we age, especially when, we're dealing with health issues or other challenges? It's a good question, and it's something that this source actually talks about. Oh, okay.
It really highlights finding a meditation technique that you like and that works for you personally. There are so many different approaches. We've got mindfulness, we have transcendental meditation.
Right.
The point is to explore and see what feels right for you, just like you would when you're finding a workout routine that you actually enjoy. You're way more likely to stick with it if it's something that you like doing.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
I've tried meditating before, but my mind just never seems to quiet down. I always thought I was doing it wrong. Does the source talk about that?
It does. It addresses that, which a lot of people think. It's totally natural for thoughts to kind of pop up during meditation.
Right.
The goal isn't to just have this blank mind, but to kind of just observe those thoughts without judging them.
So instead of getting caught up in those thoughts, we just learn to kind of see them as they come and go.
Yeah, exactly. Imagine your thoughts are like clouds passing through the sky.
Okay.
You see them, but you're not like engaging with them.
Right.
You just let them drift by. And this practice of just observing without judging can be really, really helpful, especially as we deal with the stress and the anxieties that can sometimes come with aging.
That's fascinating.
Yeah.
It seems like this mental shift, this ability to kind of look at our thoughts without being controlled by them, could be really valuable as we age.
Yeah.
Are there any real-life examples of how this works?
Oh, there are lots. One study that I thought was really cool looked at older adults who are meditating, specifically mindfulness meditation.
Okay.
And they did it regularly. They showed a huge improvement in their memory recall compared to those who weren't meditating. It's a great example of how something as simple as sitting quietly and observing your breath can have such a powerful effect on the aging brain.
That's really encouraging. It seems like meditation isn't just about feeling calmer.
Right.
It's about really improving cognitive function, especially memory, which is something that a lot of people worry about as they get older.
Exactly. And it's not just memory. Studies have also shown that regular meditation can help control emotions and reduce stress hormones and even improve sleep quality, all of which are essential for healthy aging. It's like meditation is a multifaceted approach to well-being, addressing both the mental and physical aspects of aging.
It's like a whole body tune-up, but for the mind.
Yes.
So with all these amazing benefits, how can our listener actually get started?
Okay.
What kind of advice does the source give for establishing a meditation practice?
Well, it really emphasizes starting small and being patient. You don't have to become a Zen master overnight.
Right.
It's about finding a couple of minutes each day to just sit and focus on your breath.
So even a few minutes of focused breathing can make a difference.
Absolutely.
That's good to know, because I think a lot of people might feel intimidated by the idea of meditating for long periods.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah.
Even short bursts of meditation can have a positive impact. The key is doing it consistently. Just like you wouldn't expect to run a marathon on your first try, you don't need to meditate for an hour on your first try. Start with 5 minutes, then slowly increase the time as you get more comfortable.
That's a great analogy. It makes it seem much more approachable. And like we mentioned before, there are so many different types of meditation.
Yes.
So finding one that you like and that works for you is really important.
Exactly. Yeah, it's about finding what works for you and making it like a regular part of your life. And something this Italian text brings up is that meditation isn't about like getting to a certain state of mind. It's more about having a different relationship to your thoughts and your feelings.
So it's not about like completely emptying our minds. I've got to admit, that always felt impossible for me.
It's a really common misconception, yeah. It's totally normal for thoughts to come up while you're meditating.
Right.
The key is to just observe them without judgment, just letting them come and go.
So it's more about like becoming aware of our thoughts instead of getting caught up in them.
Yeah.
That makes a lot more sense. It's almost like stepping back
Yeah.
from that constant chatter in our minds.
Yeah.
But how does that actually help us as we age?
Right. Yeah.
That's where it gets really interesting. So as we practice this observation thing, we start to understand more and we get a little bit more detached from our thoughts. And that can be incredibly freeing, especially when we're dealing with the challenges and the changes that come with getting older.
So instead of feeling overwhelmed by worries or anxieties, we can learn to kind of step back and look at them more objectively.
Yeah.
That sounds really useful, especially as life throws more curveballs our way as we get older.
Exactly. It's like hitting pause on autopilot
Right.
and choosing how we want to react instead of being swept up in the moment.
Hmm.
This source actually mentions this one study
Oh, wow.
where older adults who were practicing meditation on the regular were showing less activity in their amygdala, which is the part of the brain that's associated with fear and stress. Wow, so there's an actual physical change in the brain. That's pretty strong evidence that this isn't just some like feel-good thing. There's real science behind it. But honestly, isn't it hard to find the time and the motivation to meditate, especially when we're already juggling work, family, and everything else?
It's a totally valid concern, and that's where the cool thing about meditation comes in. It doesn't need any special equipment or hours of dedicated practice. Even like 5 or 10 minutes a day can make a huge difference.
That's good to hear. So it's not about adding one more thing to our to-do list. It's about finding those little moments of quiet throughout the day. But for people who are already familiar with meditation, what new insights does this Italian source have, especially when it comes to aging?
That's a great question. You know, what I found interesting is that this source talks a lot about the social benefits of meditation,
Yes.
especially as we age. It highlights how a regular practice can make us more empathetic and more compassionate people.
So it's not just an internal thing. It can actually make our relationships with others better. I can see how that would be super important as we get older and our social circles maybe start changing.
Exactly. This source says that as we get more self-aware through meditation, we naturally start being more aware and understanding in how we interact with others.
Right.
And this can create more harmonious relationships with family, friends, and even strangers.
That's beautiful. It's like meditation isn't just about taking care of ourselves, but it's also about making a more compassionate and connected world, which feels especially important these days.
For sure. And the source also talks about the idea that meditation can help us accept our own mortality.
That's a topic that many people avoid, but it's something we all have to face as we get older. How does meditation help with that?
Well, by encouraging us to be present and to just observe our thoughts and feelings without judgment, meditation can help us feel more at peace and accepting, even when we're facing tough emotions like fear or anxiety about getting older and eventually dying.
That's a deep insight. It seems like meditation gives us a way to face the challenges of aging, not with fear or denial.
But with a sense of like being grounded and accepted. It's not about pretending that aging isn't happening, but about like embracing the whole process with more grace and awareness.
Exactly. Yeah.
And, you know, this Italian text also emphasizes the importance of community, especially as we age. It suggests that finding a group of people who also meditate,
Right.
can provide a really good sense of support and connection.
That makes sense. Sharing this journey with others, talking about the ups and downs of aging and meditation.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Could be really valuable. It's like building a support system to get through this part of life.
exactly. And having that shared experience can also help us stay committed to the practice.
Yeah.
So it's not just about the individual benefits, but also about the power of a community,
Mm-hmm.
which is something that seems to be a theme in this source. It's like meditation connects us not only to ourselves, but to other people too.
Well said. And that brings us to another point that this source makes. It's never too late to start meditating.
Hmm. That's good to know. So it's not like there's some cutoff age where meditation stops being helpful.
Not at all. In fact, this source talks about studies that show huge cognitive benefits for people who start meditating in their 60s, 70s, and even 80s.
That's amazing. It's like a reminder that it's never too late to invest in our well-being, both mentally and physically.
Exactly. And, you know, something that really stood out to me when I was reading this source is that it has a very holistic view of aging. It's not just about living longer, it's about making our lives richer as we age.
I like that perspective. It's not just about adding years to our lives, but adding life to our years.
Precisely. And meditation seems to be a powerful way to do that.
Yeah, it really does feel like a different way of thinking about things, going from just wanting to live longer to really embracing the aging process
Yeah.
and making the most of it. And this deep dive has shown how meditation can be a big part of that.
For sure.
Before we wrap up, I want to go back to one more thing that the source mentioned, which I thought was really interesting. It talked about how meditation might actually affect our genes.
Oh, yeah. That's a pretty new area of research,
Right.
but it's super exciting. Studies are showing that meditation could have the power to actually change gene expression, especially genes that deal with inflammation and stress response.
Wait, are you saying that meditation could actually change our DNA? That sounds kind of crazy.
It does, right.
Yeah.
But that's what's so amazing about the brain and the human body. There's still so much that we're learning. The source mentions this study
Okay.
where people who practiced mindfulness meditation for just 8 weeks showed changes in how their genes related to inflammation were expressed.
It's wild.
Yeah.
It makes you think about what other possibilities meditation might have that we don't even know about yet.
It really does. And you know, as we dig deeper into the science, it's becoming clear that meditation isn't just some mystical thing. It's a real way to change our biology, our mental state, and even our social interactions.
Feels like we've just started to understand the impact of meditation, especially when it comes to aging.
I agree. And that's what makes this deep dive so interesting. It encourages us to keep learning, to keep asking questions, and to experience the power of meditation ourselves.
So for our listener, let's go over some of the key things we've talked about today.
Yeah.
We've learned that meditation isn't just a fad. It's a real practice backed by science
Right.
that can really change how we age.
Yeah, from helping our brains stay flexible and function better to reducing stress and making us more compassionate, the benefits are huge. And they affect so many parts of our lives.
Mhm.
And what's really great is that it's never too late to start. Whether you're in your 40s or your 80s, meditation can make a big difference in your life.
Exactly. It's like we found a secret for aging gracefully, both mentally and physically. And while this Italian source gave us some amazing insights, it's important to remember that this is just the start.
Definitely. We encourage you to explore more, try different types of meditation, and see what works best for you. The most important thing is to just begin.
And if you need some help, there are lots of resources out there online and in your community. Don't be afraid to reach out and connect with others who are also learning about meditation.
Well said. So, to wrap up this deep dive, we'll leave you with this question to think about. If meditation can have such a big impact on how we age, both as individuals and as a society, what role could it play in creating a more mindful and compassionate future for everyone?
That's something to think about. Until next time, keep exploring.